Have you ever wondered what your life would feel like if you stopped pushing and started flowing? What if, just for tonight, you allowed ancient Buddhist wisdom to carry you like a stream carries a fallen leaf, effortless, weightless, guided? In the next few hours, you'll discover how Zen parables can ease anxiety, quiet your thoughts, and return you to that natural rhythm of living that you've always known deep inside, but perhaps forgotten. These timeless teachings aren't just stories. They are gateways back to stillness, clarity, and trust. Before we begin, may I ask, where are you listening from tonight? Take a quiet moment and share it with us. Wherever you are, know that you're not alone. We are a quiet gathering, a sangha of still hearts resting together beneath the same sky. Now, close your eyes if you haven't already, and imagine this: a single leaf suspended in midair, not falling, not resisting. That's where we begin, with the leaf that danced without wind. Have you ever felt so tired, but your mind simply refuses to be still? It's a strange and quiet suffering, isn't it? A confession whispered in the dark, shared by so many of us who lie awake, feeling a secret engine running inside, burning fuel for a journey you never consciously chose. Your body aches for rest, for the deep, healing sleep that seems to come so easily to others, but your thoughts race on. They are planners, warriors, and critics, a committee in your skull that never adjourns. They replay conversations, pre-play confrontations, and scroll through endless lists of what must be done, what should have been done differently. It is a unique kind of exhaustion, the weariness that comes from fighting a war entirely within yourself. You've likely asked the universe, or just the ceiling above you, how do you make yourself fall asleep when this internal storm is raging? You've tried counting sheep. You've tried breathing exercises. You've tried everything the world tells you to do to find that elusive peace. But the effort itself feels like another task on that endless list, another way to fail at resting. This is the great paradox of our restless minds. The harder we try to force stillness, the more agitated we become. The more we chase sleep, the faster it runs away. And so you lie there, feeling the deep hum of anxiety, a vibration of trying too hard, of holding on too tight. But what if the answer isn't in trying at all? What if the path to inner peace isn't one of action, but of profound, radical permission? What if the key to letting life flow naturally is to stop trying to direct the current? Let this story, this journey into Zen Buddhism wisdom, be a blanket for your tired mind. There is nothing for you to do right now, nothing to fix, nothing to solve. Just allow my voice to be a gentle guide, leading you away from the noise and into a place of quiet wonder. Close your eyes, if you haven't already, and just breathe. In this moment, everything is okay. In a quiet corner of an old monastery garden, nestled high in the mountains, where the air itself seemed to hold its breath. There was a single Japanese maple tree. Its leaves were the color of a fading sunset, a deep and soulful crimson. For weeks, a young monk named Kaido had been observing this tree as part of his meditation practice. He was a student of Zen, tasked with understanding the nature of things by watching them without judgment. But Kaido was struggling. His mind, like a shaken jar of river water, was full of sediment, full of striving. He wanted to achieve enlightenment, to grasp the timeless wisdom of the masters, and this very wanting was the source of his turmoil. He saw his quest for peace as a battle to be won, a summit to be conquered. One afternoon, as Kaido sat on a cold stone bench, a profound stillness descended upon the garden. The usual chorus of cicadas had fallen silent. The distant temple bells were quiet. Even the sky seemed to be holding its breath. There was no wind, not a whisper, not a hint of a breeze to stir the air. The other leaves on the maple tree hung perfectly still, like painted images on a silk screen. But one leaf, a single perfect crimson leaf at the very end of a slender branch, began to move. It did not tremble or shake. It began to dance. It dipped and swayed in a slow, graceful arc, turning left, then right, as if guided by an unseen partner. It swirled in a gentle circle, paused, and then twirled again, a silent ballet performed for an audience of one. Kaido's eyes widened. He looked around, searching for a cause. Was there a hidden draft, a current of air he couldn't feel? He held a thread from his robe up to the air, but it hung limp and motionless. There was no explanation. The leaf was dancing without wind. For hours, he watched, his mind slowly emptying of its usual striving. The need to understand, to analyze, to find a logical reason began to dissolve in the face of this quiet miracle. He was no longer a student trying to learn. He was simply a witness. The leaf wasn't fighting gravity, nor was it waiting for an external push. Its movement was arising from a place of such deep surrender that it was attuned to the most subtle, imperceptible energies of the universe, the gentle pull of the earth, the faint warmth of the setting sun, the silent vibration of the trees' own life force. It was moving because it had completely and utterly let go of the need to be still. It was in perfect harmony with the flow of existence, a flow that was too fine for a restless mind to perceive. This, Kaido realized, was the principle of wu-wei. Wu-wei is a core concept in Zen and Taoist thought, and it is often translated as effortless action or non-doing. But this translation can be misleading. It doesn't mean being lazy or passive. It is not about giving up. Wu Wai is the art of acting in harmony with the natural flow of life, of moving with the grain of the universe rather than against it. It is the practice of swimming with the current, not fighting it. The leaf danced not because it did nothing, but because its doing came from a place of non-resistance. It was action without force, movement without struggle. It had found its direction by surrendering to the greater intelligence of the whole. Think of a master calligrapher. When they paint, the brush seems to move on its own. There is no tension in their hand, no hesitation in their mind. The ink flows onto the paper in a single, fluid gesture. This is Wu Wai. They have practiced so much that the action has become second nature, an extension of their being, no longer a conscious effort. Or think of a boatman navigating a river. He doesn't power his way upstream. He reads the currents. He understands the eddies. He uses the river's own energy to guide his boat to its destination. He is not in control of the river, but he is in harmony with it. This ancient wisdom speaks directly to the heart of our modern suffering, to the burnout and fatigue that comes from living in a world that tells us we must always be pushing, always be striving, always be in control. We are taught to be the wind, to believe that it is our force, our will, our effort that makes things happen. We try to force the leaf of our life to dance to our tune. We push our careers forward. We manage our relationships. We schedule our joy. And we even try to command our own bodies to fall asleep fast. The result is a constant, low-grade tension, a feeling of being at odds with life itself. This is the source of so much insomnia and anxiety. Your nervous system is perpetually in a state of fight or flight because your mind believes it is in a constant battle. In neuroscience, this relates to an overactive default mode network. The DMN is the part of your brain that is active when you are not focused on a specific task. It's the part that daydreams, worries, and replays the past. For many of us, especially at night when external distractions fade, the DMN goes into overdrive. It becomes a relentless storyteller, weaving narratives of fear and lack. The practice of Wu Wai is a gentle antidote to this. It is a way of calming the DMN not by fighting it, but by giving it nothing to push against. It is the deep recognition that you are not the wind. You are the leaf. Your most profound power does not lie in force, but in receptivity. Your greatest strength is not in control, but in graceful surrender. So how can we practice this right here, right now, as you lie in the quiet of your room? We can start with the body, where we store so much of our resistance. Let's try a simple, soothing meditation inspired by the leaf. Bring your awareness to your feet. try to change anything. Just notice them. Are they tense? Are they holding on? Imagine each of your toes is a tiny leaf clinging tightly to a branch. Now, with a soft inner whisper, give them permission to let go. Imagine them releasing their grip, becoming soft and yielding. Feel a wave of warmth as the tension dissolves. Now, bring that gentle awareness up to your calves and your thighs. These are strong muscles, accustomed to carrying you through the day, accustomed to bracing for impact. They often hold a deep, unconscious tension. You don't need to fight this tension. Simply acknowledge it. And then, like the leaf that danced without wind, allow these muscles to release their effort. Let them go. Feel their weight sinking down, held completely and safely by the surface beneath you. There is nothing to hold up. No need to brace. You are supported. Breathe that feeling of release up into your hips and your belly. This is often where we hold our deepest fears and anxieties. The tight knot of a worried stomach. Again, no judgment, no need to force it to relax. Just bring a soft, compassionate attention to this area. Imagine the crimson leaf dancing slowly in the stillness. Let your belly soften. Let it be vulnerable. In this safe space, letting go is your greatest strength. Allow this wave of surrender to flow up through your chest, melting the armor around your heart. Let your shoulders, which have carried the weight of the world, finally drop. Feel the space between your shoulder blades widen. Let go. Let the release travel down your arms, through your elbows, and into your hands. Unclench your fingers. Let them rest, open and receptive. Finally, bring your awareness to your jaw, your eyes, and the space between your eyebrows. This is the command center of our striving. Let your jaw hang slack. Let the tiny muscles around your eyes soften. Let your forehead become smooth and wide. You are now embodying the wisdom of the leaf. You are not forcing relaxation. You are simply allowing the tension to fall away on its own. You are creating the conditions for stillness. And from that stillness, a new kind of movement can arise. The gentle, rhythmic dance of your own breath. The slow, healing pulse of your own heart. This is your natural state. This is the harmony you've been seeking. It was never far away. It was just buried beneath the effort of trying. As you continue to breathe, you might notice that thoughts still arise. That is okay. They are like clouds passing in front of the still sky. You don't need to chase them away. You don't need to engage with them. Simply notice them, and then gently return your attention to the feeling of the breath, to the sensation of your body resting held, and safe. The desire to control our lives, our feelings, our very sleep, comes from a deep fear of the unknown. We believe that if we just let go, everything will fall apart. But the leaf teaches us a different truth. It teaches that in letting go, we don't fall apart. We fall into alignment with a deeper, more intelligent order. We begin to trust the dance. What happens, though, when the fear of letting go is so immense it feels like you might disappear entirely? What if the surrender feels less like floating and more like drowning? This is a profound question, a sacred threshold in the journey of emotional healing. Even in surrender, there are hidden depths. When we arrive at the fish that dreamed of drowning, we'll witness how the act of releasing becomes a doorway to truth, not disappearance. For now, just stay with this feeling of effortless being. You are the leaf, held by the tree, nourished by the earth, bathed in the silent air. You are a part of this vast, interconnected web of life, and you are perfect just as you are. The most graceful movements arise from complete stillness within. When you cease to push the river, you realize you are the river. When you cease to command the leaf, you realize you are the leaf. This is the beginning of true inner peace, the kind that no external circumstance can shake. It is the peace that comes from returning home to yourself. You are not broken. You do not need fixing. You just need to be held in this quiet, loving awareness. Let this stillness cradle you. Let it be the gentle hand that guides you into a deep, restful, and healing sleep. Let the silence speak where words no longer matter. Let go. Breathe. Everything is okay. Let this story become your dream, a dream of a single crimson leaf dancing in the quiet joy of its own being. And when stillness deepens, even emptiness begins to sing. The gate that opened by closing. What if the door you fear to close is the only one that truly opens? We spend so much of our lives holding doors open, doors to past relationships, hoping they might one day walk back through, doors to old identities, versions of ourselves we have outgrown but are afraid to release, doors to what-ifs and should-have-beens, letting in a cold draft of regret that chills the present moment. We stand there with our muscles tensed and our energy draining away, believing that our vigilance is what keeps us safe, what keeps our options open. But the truth, the quiet wisdom that Zen Buddhist teachings offer, is that holding on is the most exhausting posture of all. Perhaps you feel this in your own life, a quiet ache of nostalgia for a time that is gone, a lingering connection to a person or a situation that no longer serves your growth. You keep the door cracked open just a little, telling yourself it's a sign of hope, of loyalty, of an open heart. But in reality, you cannot fully turn to face the room you are in now, because you are always looking over your shoulder at that door. You cannot welcome the new guests who are arriving at your front door, because you are still guarding the back one. This is a form of insomnia for the soul. It keeps our nervous system on high alert, waiting for a footstep that will never come. It prevents the deep rest and emotional release that can only happen when we feel truly safe and present in our own lives. If you are struggling to find a calm mind and restful sleep, perhaps it is worth asking, what door am I holding open? And what am I so afraid will happen if I gently, lovingly let it close? Let this story be a gentle hand on yours, inviting you to consider the freedom that lies not in holding on, but in letting go. Close your eyes and breathe. Let the world slow down for you now. In a forgotten monastery built into the side of a windswept cliff, there was a gate. It was not a grand gate. It was made of old, weathered wood, bound with straps of rusted iron. It led from the inner courtyard to a sheer drop, 1,000 feet down to a misty valley. For generations, the monks had been taught one simple rule: this gate must never be fully closed. It was a symbolic teaching about keeping an open mind, about never shutting oneself off from the world completely. And so, for centuries, the gate was always kept propped open with a heavy stone, leaving a gap just wide enough for a person to see the swirling mists below. A young monk named Ren was given the task of tending to this gate. It was his duty to ensure the stone was always in place, to sweep the leaves from its threshold, and to meditate before it daily. At first, Ren was proud of his responsibility, but over the years, the task became a burden. The wind would often howl through the gap, making the courtyard cold and unsettling. Lost birds would sometimes fly in, confused and panicked, and the constant sight of the gaping void beyond the gate filled Ren with a subtle, persistent anxiety. He felt as if he was living on the edge of nothingness. He also noticed that the other monks, while paying lip service to the open door philosophy, avoided the courtyard. It was not a place of peace, but a place of tension. He tried to speak to the abbot about it. "Master," he said, "the open gate does not bring us peace. It brings a constant draft. It reminds us only of the abyss." The abbot, a very old man with eyes that seemed to hold the stillness of a deep lake, simply smiled. "The teaching is in the tending, Ren. Keep doing your duty." So Ren continued, but his resentment grew. The gate felt like a prison. His life was dedicated to maintaining a state of unresolved tension. One day, during a fierce winter storm, the wind became a violent gale. It tore at the gate, rattling it in its frame. The heavy stone was dislodged, and the gate began to slam back and forth with terrifying force. Ren rushed out and threw his entire body against it, trying to push it back into its proper open position. The wind was too strong. It was a battle he could not win. He was freezing, exhausted, and on the verge of being thrown over the cliff himself. In a moment of sheer desperation, of complete and utter surrender, he gave up. He stopped pushing against the wind. He stepped back, and with a mighty gust, the wind slammed the gate shut. There was a loud, resonant click as a hidden, ancient latch, rusted from centuries of disuse, finally engaged. And then silence. A profound, deep, and perfect silence. The howling wind was gone. The cold draft was gone. The terrifying view of the abyss was gone. The courtyard, for the first time in Ren's life, was a sanctuary. It was still, warm, and utterly safe. Ren stood there, breathless, in the newfound peace. He felt a wave of relief so powerful it brought tears to his eyes. He had spent his life fighting to keep the door open, only to discover that peace was on the other side of its closing. He turned to look at the gate, now firmly shut, and he saw something no one had seen in centuries. On the inner face of the gate, protected from the elements, was a painting. It was a masterpiece of breathtaking beauty. It depicted a vast, sunlit valley, not of mist and emptiness, but of green fields, a gently flowing river, and a path that wound its way toward a distant, peaceful village. The gate wasn't a barrier to the abyss. It was a canvas, and its message was not visible until it was closed. The gate that opened by closing. It opened not to the outside world, but to the inner world. It opened the way to a landscape of peace that was there all along, hidden by the very effort of holding on. This is the heart of the principle of non-attachment. Non-attachment is one of the most misunderstood concepts in Buddhist psychology. It does not mean being cold, aloof, or disconnected from life. It is not about refusing to love or care. In fact, it is the very opposite. Non-attachment is the practice of loving so fully, of caring so deeply, that you can release your grip. It is a tender trust in the natural unfolding of life. It is the wisdom to know that what is truly yours can never be lost, and what is not yours can never be kept by force. We cling because we are afraid. We cling to jobs, to people, to memories, to identities, because we believe they define us. We believe that without them, we will be like Ren, staring into an empty the abyss. We have been taught that closing a door is an act of failure, of giving up. But the Zen masters teach us that every release is a rebirth of space and presence. When you finally let the door to a painful past swing shut, you don't find nothingness. You find the beautiful, sunlit painting of your own inner landscape, waiting to be discovered. You find the present moment. This speaks directly to the experience of emotional healing and the search for a peaceful mind. So much of our mental energy at night, the energy that fuels insomnia, is spent in the act of clinging. We are mentally reenacting the role of Ren, pushing against the winds of change, trying to keep a door open that life itself is trying to close. This might be the door to a version of yourself that was younger or healthier, or in a different life situation. It might be the door to a grievance, an argument you keep replaying, trying to win it this time. It might be the door to a dream that has now passed its season. This clinging creates what psychologists call cognitive dissonance and emotional looping. Your present reality is here, but your mind is over there, holding that door open. This conflict generates immense stress. Your body doesn't know the difference between a real threat and a remembered one. So when you are replaying that painful memory, your nervous system is re-experiencing the stress of it. Your cortisol levels rise, your heart rate increases, and your body is prepared for a fight that exists only in your mind. This is the very opposite of the state required for deep sleep. The path to healing from within is not to analyze the past endlessly, but to develop the compassionate courage to let it go. It is to trust that closing the gate is not an act of violence, but an act of profound self-compassion. It is how we create a safe, internal sanctuary where we can finally rest. So let's practice this tender release together. Bring to your mind, gently, without judgment, a door that you have been holding open. It might be a small door or a very large one. Don't force the image. Just see what arises. Maybe it's the door to a job that brought you burnout. Maybe it's the door to a relationship that ended in pain. Maybe it's the door to a self-critical voice that tells you you're not good enough. See yourself standing there, your hands pressed against this door, keeping it from closing. Feel the strain in your shoulders, the tension in your back, the weariness in your soul. Acknowledge how much energy it has taken to hold this position for so long. Now, I want you to offer yourself some grace. Say to yourself, silently, "You have held on for long enough. You did it to protect yourself. It is okay to be tired now. It is okay to let go." Imagine taking one hand off the door and then the other, take a step back. You are no longer fighting it. You are simply allowing. There might be a gust of wind, a feeling of fear, of sadness, of grief. Let it come. This is the storm that must pass for the calm to arrive. Breathe with it. Do not resist it. And then imagine the door swinging shut. Hear the quiet, satisfying click as the latch finds its home, and feel the immediate shift in the atmosphere around you. The silence, the stillness, the safety. Now turn around. Turn your back on the closed door and look at what has been revealed on its inner face. See the beautiful painting that was always there, waiting for you. A landscape of your own inner strength, a path leading toward a future you couldn't see before. A gentle river of self-compassion, a sunlit field of possibility. This is your inner sanctuary. This is the present moment reclaimed. Stay in this image for a while. Breathe it in. This is the peace that comes from non-attachment. It is not empty, it is full. It is not cold, it is warm and welcoming. But what is this inner space made of? What is the nature of this emptiness that feels so full? There is a silence that contains all sound. We'll sense this more in the bowl that sang when empty. It's a journey into the heart of what Zen calls emptiness, or sunyata, which is not a void, but a space of pure potential. A space where healing can happen, where new things can grow. Every release is a rebirth of space and presence. As you lie here tonight, ready for deep sleep, know that you don't have to keep holding all those doors open. You can give yourself permission to let them close. You can trust that you are not losing anything that is truly meant for you. You are simply making space for rest, making space for peace, making space for a new day to dawn within you. Let the image of the closed gate and the beautiful painting be your anchor. If your mind starts to drift back to old worries, gently guide it back to this inner sanctuary. It is your sacred ground. No one can enter without your permission. And tonight, you are closing it to everything but peace. Nothing to fix, nothing to chase. Just the quiet joy of being home within yourself. Let go. Breathe deeply. Let this timeless wisdom carry you into a peaceful, restful sleep. Everything is okay. Only when the cup empties does the tea become warm again. The cloud that remembered the mountain. Can something that floats forget what held it once? We often think of ourselves as separate beings, islands of consciousness navigating a vast and indifferent world. We define define ourselves by our boundaries. This is me, and that is you. This is my body, my mind, my story. We carry our identities like a heavy suitcase, believing the contents are all we are. But what if this sense of separation is an illusion? What if, like a cloud, we are intimately connected to everything that has ever shaped us and everything we will ever become? Think of a cloud drifting high and free in the blue expanse of the sky. It seems so autonomous, so unbound. But the cloud was born from the ocean's exhale, lifted by the sun's warmth. It carries the memory of the sea within every droplet. And as it floats, it is shaped by the unseen currents of the air, guided toward a distant mountain peak. It is not separate from the ocean, the sun, or the wind. It is a temporary, beautiful manifestation of all of them. Perhaps your own feeling of loneliness or disconnection, that quiet ache of feeling adrift in the world, comes from forgetting this profound truth. At night, when the distractions of the day fall away, this feeling can become more acute. The silence can feel like isolation. The darkness can feel like separation. You might feel like a single, solitary cloud in an endless sky, longing for a place to rest, a place to belong. But Buddhist teachings, particularly the concept of interbeing, offer a radical and deeply comforting alternative. Let us journey together into this understanding, not as a philosophical idea, but as a felt experience. Close your eyes and allow yourself to float. There is no effort required, just the gentle act of listening, of being. Let this story remind you of the connections you have forgotten. High in the Himalayas, there lived a mountain. It was an ancient mountain, its peak perpetually covered in snow, its slopes carved by millennia of wind and ice. It was so vast and so still that it seemed to be the anchor of the world. It had watched empires rise and fall, forests grow and turn to dust. It was the embodiment of silent, enduring presence. One spring morning, a small, wispy cloud was born from the moisture of a glacial lake at the mountain's foot. As it rose into the sky, it looked back at the magnificent peak that had, in a way, given it life. The mountain was its entire world, its source, its silent guardian. The cloud loved the mountain. It hovered near its summit, casting a gentle shadow on its snowy face, feeling a sense of belonging, of completeness. But the wind, the great traveler of the skies, had other plans. It whispered to the cloud, "Come with me. There is a whole world to see. Why stay tethered to one place?" At first, the cloud resisted. It clung to the mountain's peak, afraid to leave the only home it had ever known. But the wind was persuasive, and a seed of curiosity was planted in the cloud's heart. So it let go. It drifted away from the mountain, joining other clouds on a long journey across the continent. It saw sprawling cities like glittering jewels on the dark earth. It saw vast green jungles teeming with life. It saw endless deserts of shifting sand. It changed its shape 1,000 times. It merged with other clouds, becoming part of a great storm front, releasing its rain upon thirsty fields. It then became thin and ethereal again, a mere wisp against the setting sun. It experienced so much, saw so much, that it began to forget where it had come from. The memory of the silent, snow-capped mountain grew faint, like a dream upon waking. The cloud started to believe that it was just this, a transient, formless wanderer, belonging nowhere. A quiet sadness began to fill it. One day, heavy and full of unshed rain, the cloud found itself drifting over a great, shimmering ocean. It looked down at the endless blue water and felt a strange sense of recognition. It saw its own reflection, and for the first time, it didn't just see a cloud. It saw the memory of the snow on the mountain peak. It felt the memory of the glacial lake it was born from. It realized that the water it carried within it was the mountain. It had never left. The mountain was not a place it had departed from. It was a state of being it carried inside. The snow, the ice, the lake, it was all there. In that moment of profound insight, the cloud understood. It was not a separate entity. It was the mountain learning to fly. It was the ocean dreaming of the sky. It let go of its sadness, and in a gesture of joyful release, it rained down upon the ocean, completing the cycle, returning its water to the great source, ready to be born again. The cloud remembered the mountain, and in doing so, it remembered itself. This story is a parable for the principle of interbeing, a term coined by the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh. Interbeing is the understanding that nothing exists by itself. Everything arises in relation to everything else. To be is to interbe. Thich Nhat Hanh would often illustrate this by holding up a sheet of paper. He would say, "If you are a poet, you will see a cloud floating in this sheet of paper. Because without a cloud, there is no rain. Without rain, the trees cannot grow. Without trees, we cannot make paper. So the cloud is essential for the paper to exist." He would continue, "If you look even more deeply, you will see the sunshine in the paper. Because the sun is essential for the forest to grow. And you will see the logger who cut the tree and his parents and the wheat that became his bread. If we look deeply enough, we see the entire universe in a single sheet of paper. Nothing is separate." This is not just a poetic idea, it is a description of reality. You are not just you. You are your parents and your ancestors and their struggles and their triumphs. Their DNA is your DNA. Their stories are woven into the fabric of your being. You are the food you have eaten, the sun that grew it, the earth that nourished it. You are the teachers who inspired you, the friends who have held you, the authors whose words have shaped your mind. You are the air you are breathing right now, the same air that has passed through the lungs of countless beings before you. You are the mountain, and you are the cloud. The feeling of isolation, of being a separate self, is a kind of spiritual amnesia. It is the cloud forgetting the mountain. This illusion of separation is the root of much of our fear, our greed, and our violence against each other and the planet. When we believe we are separate, we feel we must compete for resources, defend our territories, and protect our fragile egos. At night, this feeling of separation can manifest as a deep, existential loneliness. It's the fear that we are ultimately alone in our struggles, that no one can truly understand our inner world. This state of mind is incredibly taxing on the nervous system. From a somatic perspective, this feeling of isolation can activate the dorsal vagal nerve, leading to a state of shutdown or freeze. It's a primal response to feeling unsafe and disconnected from the tribe. This is why insomnia can sometimes feel less like restlessness and more like a heavy, sad immobility. You are not just tired. You are soul weary from the effort of being a separate self. The practice of remembering our interbeing is a powerful antidote. It is a way of soothing the nervous system by reminding it that we are, and have always been, part of a vast, interconnected whole. It is the healing from within that comes from recognizing we are never truly alone. Let's gently practice this remembrance right now as you rest. Bring your attention to your breath. Feel the air entering your nostrils, cool and fresh. Feel it filling your lungs, and feel it leaving your body, warm and soft. Now consider this air. This is not your air. This is the air of the world. It is a gift from the trees, the plankton in the ocean. As you inhale, you are breathing in the life force of the planet. You are taking in the generosity of the forest. Feel that connection. You are breathing with the world. As you exhale, you are giving a gift back. You are nourishing the plants around you. Your breath is part of a vast, sacred cycle of giving and receiving. Feel yourself as a vital part of this beautiful, rhythmic exchange. You belong to this cycle. Now, think of one person who has shown you kindness in your life. It could be a parent, a teacher, a friend, a stranger. bring their face to your mind. Remember a specific moment of their kindness. Feel the warmth of that memory in your body. Now understand that their kindness did not originate with them. They learned it from someone else, and that person learned it from another. Kindness is a river that flows through generations. That kindness they showed you is now a part of you. It lives in your cells, in your capacity to be kind to others. You are a carrier of that sacred river. You are connected to every act of kindness that has ever happened. You are not separate from it. Finally, place a hand on your heart. Feel its steady beat. This rhythm is a legacy, passed down through an unbroken chain of ancestors, stretching back to the dawn of life. Your heart beats with the courage of 1,000 generations. You carry their resilience, their will to survive, their capacity for love. You are the culmination of a great story, a story of life itself. The mountain of your ancestry is right here in your own chest. You are not a lonely cloud. You are a vessel of memories, of connections, of love, of stardust. The entire universe has conspired to create you right here, right now. You are not adrift, you are held. You are not separate, you are a vital expression of life itself. But what happens when we look so deeply into our interconnectedness that our own form seems to dissolve? What happens when the threads that make up the tapestry of me start to come loose? This can be a frightening thought, yet it is the doorway to an even deeper freedom. What dissolves does not disappear. In the thread that unwove the tapestry, we'll watch connection undo form, but not essence. This is the journey into the Buddhist teaching of anatta, or non-self, where we discover that our true nature is far more vast and beautiful than the limited identity we cling to. To remember we are never alone is to float without fear. As you drift now toward deep sleep, let go of the burden of being a separate self. Allow your boundaries to soften. Imagine yourself dissolving into the vast, warm ocean of being. You are not losing yourself. You are returning to yourself. You are the cloud, raining down into the sea, ready to be reborn. You are the paper, remembering the forest and the sun. You are the breath in a timeless dance with the world. There is no need to feel lonely tonight. You are held in a web of connection that is ancient, profound, and unbreakable. Rest in that knowing. Let it be the lullaby that soothes your anxious mind and carries you into a peaceful, healing sleep. You are home. You have always been home. And the emptier the bowl, the clearer the sound it sings. The bowl that sang when empty silence you fear is the one that knows your name. We live in a world that worships fullness. Full bank accounts, full calendars, full stomachs, full social feeds. We are terrified of empty space. We fill every quiet moment with podcasts, music, or the endless scroll. We see emptiness as a lack, a void, a failure. If our life isn't full of noise, activity, and accomplishments, we feel we are doing something wrong. This fear of emptiness follows us into the night. When the house is quiet and the world is asleep, we are left alone with our own inner space. And if we have spent our lives running from it, that space can feel terrifying. It can feel like a vast, lonely cavern where our anxieties echo and our fears take shape. We toss and turn, desperate for a distraction, desperate for something to fill the void so we don't have to face it. We ask how to fall asleep fast, but what we are really asking is, how do I escape this silence? How do I escape myself? But what if this emptiness we are so afraid of is not a void, but a vessel? What if it is not an absence, but a presence? What if, as the Zen masters teach, true fullness can only be found in what appears to be empty? The Buddhist concept of sunyata, or emptiness, is perhaps the most profound and liberating teaching of all. It is an invitation to stop filling our lives and to start listening to the music of the space between things. Let this story be an invitation into that sacred space, a space where you don't have to be anything, do anything, or have anything, a space where you can simply be. Close your eyes and let go of the need to be full. Let's discover the song that only emptiness can sing. In a small village known for its pottery, there lived an old master potter named Hina. Her hands, though gnarled with age, moved with the grace of a dancer as she worked the clay on her wheel. Potters from all over the country would come to admire her work, especially her tea bowls. Her bowls were famous not for their intricate designs or vibrant glazes. In fact, they were deceptively simple. They were known for the sound they made. When gently tapped, her bowls would produce a clear, resonant hum that seemed to linger in the air forever. A note of pure, perfect peace. A wealthy merchant, a collector of fine things, heard of these legendary bowls and traveled to Hina's village. He wanted to own the most beautiful singing bowl she had ever made. He entered her dusty workshop and saw shelves lined with hundreds of bowls. He went around, tapping each one. Some had beautiful patterns. Some had rich, deep colors. They all made a pleasant sound, but none had the magical, soul-stirring hum he had heard about. Finally, he saw it. On a simple wooden stool in the center of the room, all by itself, was a plain, unadorned clay bowl. It had no glaze, no color, no pattern. It was the color of the earth itself. It looked empty, ordinary. Surely not this one, he thought. But he reached out and gave its rim the lightest tap with his fingernail. The sound that emerged silenced the world. It was not just a note, it was a presence. It was the sound of a temple bell at dawn, the sound of a silent snowfall, the sound of a deep breath. It filled the entire workshop, and it filled the merchant's heart with a sense of peace he had never known. It was a song of pure, unadorned being. "This is the one," he whispered, his eyes wide with awe. "What is your secret, Master? What have you filled this bowl with to make it sing so beautifully?" Hina, who had been watching him from the corner, smiled gently. She wiped her clay-covered hands on her apron and walked over to him. "You misunderstand, my friend," she said, her voice as soft as the sound of the bowl. "The secret is not what I have filled it with. The secret is what I have left out." She picked up the bowl and held it in her palms. "When I make a bowl," she explained, "I don't just shape the clay. I shape the space inside. I focus on the emptiness. This bowl," she gestured to the masterpiece, "sings the loudest because it is the most itself. I have removed everything that is not essential. No pattern to distract the eye. No glaze to cover the clay's true nature. I have removed my own ego, my own desire for it to be beautiful. I simply created the most perfect, receptive emptiness I could." "The sound you hear," she said, her eyes twinkling, "is not the song of the clay. It is the song of the emptiness it holds. The bowl does not make the music. It allows the music to be heard." Emptiness in Zen is not a nihilistic void. It is not absence or nothingness. It is sunyata, and sunyata means empty of a separate self. It means that things do not have a fixed, independent identity. They are, like the cloud from our last story, products of conditions. The bowl is empty of being just a bowl. It is full of the clay, the water, the fire, the potter's hands, and the emptiness it holds. This emptiness is not a lack. It is a space of pure potential, of infinite possibility. It is the silence from which all sound is born. It is the canvas upon which the masterpiece of life is painted. Our minds are like these bowls. We spend our lives filling them to the brim. We fill them with beliefs, opinions, identities, memories, ambitions, and fears. We pack them so tightly that there is no room for anything new to enter. There is no space for the mind to resonate, and so it becomes dull, heavy, and silent in the worst way. It loses its ability to sing. The anxiety and mental chatter that keep you awake at night are the noise of a life that is too full. It is the sound of all your different identities and beliefs rattling against each other, fighting for space. The perfectionist, the parent, the employee, the child, the victim, the hero, they are all shouting at once in the crowded space of your mind. There is no room for the clear, resonant hum of your true nature, your original face before you were born, as the Zen masters call it. The practice of deep sleep meditation and achieving a calm mind is not about adding another technique or another belief to the bowl. It is not about finding peace. It is about creating the space for peace to arise. It is a process of gentle emptying, an emotional and mental decluttering. This is the essence of emotional release. You let go of the old, stagnant energy to make room for the new. Modern neuroscience touches on this idea through the concept of synaptic pruning. During deep sleep, the brain literally cleans itself out. It weakens and removes unnecessary neural connections that were built up during the day. This process is essential for learning, memory, and mental clarity. It's as if the brain instinctively knows the wisdom of Hina's bowl. It empties itself to maintain its health and function. When we are unable to sleep, our brain can't perform this vital housekeeping. Our minds become cluttered, our thinking becomes muddy, and our emotional regulation suffers. We are living in a bowl that is too full. So, how do we practice this gentle emptying right here and now? How do we create that resonant space within? Let's try a meditation on the singing bowl. Imagine in the center of your being, in your chest or your belly, there is a simple clay bowl. This bowl represents your mind, your heart, your inner world. First, just observe it with no judgment. What is in your bowl tonight? Is it full of worry about tomorrow? Is it heavy with regrets from yesterday? Is it cluttered with the opinions of others? Is it overflowing with a to-do list? Just notice the contents. You don't need to analyze them. Just see them for what they are. Things that are filling the space. Now, imagine you can gently tip the bowl. With each exhale, you allow one of these things to slide out. With your next exhale, let a worry about work fall away. It will be there tomorrow if you need it. For now, let it go. With your next exhale, let go of a conversation you were replaying. Let the words dissolve into silence. With your next exhale, release the need to be perfect. Let go of the heavy burden of should. Let it slide out of the bowl and disappear. Keep doing this breath by breath, gently, patiently, without force. You are not throwing these things away in anger. You are simply setting them down, creating space. Let go, let go, let go. as the bowl becomes emptier, you might start to feel a sense of lightness, a sense of quiet. You might feel the space that is being created. This is the sacred emptiness. It is not scary. It is peaceful. It is receptive. Now imagine tapping this newly empty bowl with your awareness. Just the lightest touch, and listen. Listen for the sound that arises from the stillness. It might be a feeling of peace. It might be a sense of deep quiet. It might be a subtle vibration of calm in your body. This is the song of your own being, unobscured by clutter. This is the music of your soul. This is the fullness that is found only in the void. Stay with this feeling. Rest in this resonant silence. This is the state that invites deep sleep. A mind that is empty is a mind that is at peace. But what happens when we empty the bowl so completely that even the one who is watching the bowl disappears? What happens when the self is seen to be as empty as everything else? This is the ultimate step in the journey of letting go. Sometimes to lose the self is to meet it anew. And when we reach the mirror that reflected no one, it will speak of that return. It is a journey to the very heart of awareness, where the final illusion is released. Form is not the fullness, it's the echo of space that cradles it. The beautiful, singing bowl is not precious because of the clay. It is precious because of the emptiness it holds, your own preciousness, your own unique beauty is not found in your accomplishments, your identity, or the things you own. It is found in the quiet, spacious, and sacred emptiness within you. An emptiness that is ready to be filled with peace, with rest, with healing. As you drift off to sleep, let go of the need to be full. Let your mind become the empty bowl. Let it be still, receptive, and quiet. And listen for its song. It is the most beautiful sound in the universe. It is the sound of you returning home. Some fish find the ocean only when they forget how to swim. The fish that dreamed of drowning. Can a fish drown in water, or only in its idea of breath? It sounds like a nonsensical question, a Zen koan designed to break the logical mind. And yet, it points to one of the most profound and painful human experiences: the suffering we create by resisting the very element we are made of. We live and breathe in a world of constant change, of uncertainty, of things beyond our command. Yet we spend most of our lives struggling against it, convinced that our effort is what keeps us afloat. Think about the times you have felt the most overwhelmed, the moments of intense anxiety, panic, or despair. Were you not in those moments, like a fish fighting the water, thrashing against the current, convinced you were about to drown in the very substance that gives you life. The fear of losing control is one of the deepest fears we have. We build elaborate dams of plans, routines, and expectations to manage the unpredictable river of life. And when the waters rise, when life inevitably overflows our carefully constructed barriers, we panic. We believe we are drowning. This struggle is the engine of insomnia. The night is a vast, deep ocean. When we lie down to sleep, we are meant to surrender to it, to let it hold us. But if we are afraid of the deep, if we fear letting go of the shoreline of our conscious, controlling mind, then the night becomes a terrifying place. We thrash. We fight the currents of our own thoughts. We struggle to stay on the surface. And in doing so, we exhaust ourselves completely. The irony is that the only way to find rest, the only way to breathe, is to stop fighting and allow ourselves to sink into the embrace of what is. Let this story be a gentle current to carry you. Let it show you the profound peace that awaits when you stop struggling. Close your eyes. Let go of the shore. Nothing to fix, nothing to chase, just the feeling of being held. In the heart of a great, ancient river, whose waters had flowed since the beginning of time, lived a small, silver fish. This fish was not like the others. While the other fish darted and played, trusting the current to carry them, this fish was perpetually anxious. It was obsessed with the idea of swimming correctly. It believed that it was its own frantic, fin-flicking effort that kept it from sinking to the bottom and being crushed. It believed that the water was a dangerous and hostile element that it had to constantly battle. Day and night, it swam with all its might. It never rested. It never allowed itself to simply drift. Its tiny muscles ached, and its mind was filled with a constant, humming fear. It watched the other fish with suspicion. How can they be so careless? It would think. Don't they know that if they stop swimming for even a moment, they will drown? The other fish, of course, didn't understand. Drown, they would ask, confused. What is drown? There is only the river. One day, the little fish was so exhausted from its endless effort that it couldn't move another fin. Its body was seized with cramps, and it felt itself beginning to sink. This is it thought in a wave of pure terror. I am drowning. I have failed. The water has finally won. It closed its eyes, expecting the crushing pressure, the end of everything. And it fell. It sank down, down, down through the cool, dark water. But the crushing pressure never came. The end never arrived. Instead, as it stopped fighting, something miraculous happened. For the first time, it felt the river. It felt the water not as an adversary, but as a support. It felt the deep, powerful, and benevolent current cradling it, holding it, moving it gently along. There was no struggle. There was no danger. There was only a vast, silent, and loving embrace. It had spent its entire life fighting the very thing that was holding it. As it drifted, held in the arms of the river, it had a dream. It dreamed it was on dry land, gasping for water, its gills collapsing. It dreamed of the desperate, agonizing struggle for the one thing it needed to survive. And in the dream, it understood. Drowning wasn't about being in the water. Drowning was the fear of water. Drowning was the idea of not being able to breathe, an idea that could only exist outside of the river. The fish could not drown in water, only in its idea of breath. When it finally awoke, it was a different fish. It was floating peacefully in the heart of the current, surrounded by its brothers and sisters. It opened its eyes and saw the water for what it was, its home, its life, its very being. It began to move, but not with the frantic, fearful strokes of before. It moved with the river. It danced with the currents. It had let go of the illusion of control, and in doing so, had found true freedom, true safety, and true rest. It had surrendered to the unknown, only to find that the unknown was its oldest and dearest friend. This parable is a beautiful illustration of the illusion of control. We are like that little fish. We believe that our constant effort, our worrying, our planning, our managing, our frantic swimming, is what keeps our world from falling apart. We believe we are in control. But this belief is the source of all our anxiety. Life is the river. It is vast, powerful, and unpredictable. It will have its floods, its droughts, its peaceful stretches, and its rapids. We cannot control the river. The attempt to do so is not only futile, it is the very thing that exhausts us and makes us feel like we are drowning. The spiritual teaching here is one of surrender. But surrender is not defeat. It is not giving up. It is what the fish did. It is the wisdom of letting go of the struggle and allowing yourself to be held by a power greater than your own ego. It is the recognition that the river of life is not hostile. It is simply life, and you are a part of it. This is directly applicable to the experience of emotional healing and the struggle with insomnia. The racing thoughts you experience at night are your frantic fin flicking. Each worry is a push against the current. Each attempt to force yourself to sleep is a desperate fight against the water. You are trying to control the uncontrollable. You are trying to manage the vast, mysterious process of letting go of consciousness. And the harder you try, the more awake you become. You are trying to swim when all you need to do is float. Modern psychology and somatic therapies speak about this in terms of the vagus nerve. The fight or flight response is the frantic swimming. The state of rest, digestion, and healing is the state of floating, of feeling safe and supported. When you are struggling with the illusion of control, your sympathetic nervous system is on high alert. You are telling your body, there is a threat. I must fight. The body responds accordingly, flooding you with cortisol and adrenaline, making sleep impossible. The act of surrender, of letting go, is what activates the parasympathetic nervous system. It is a signal to your body that says, I am safe. I am held. I can stop fighting now. This is not a mental trick. It is a deep physiological shift. It is the healing from within that comes from radical trust. So let's practice this surrender right now. Let's allow ourselves to be the fish that stops struggling. Imagine your bed is the deep, dark, peaceful riverbed. Feel its solid support beneath you. It is holding you completely. You do not need to hold yourself up. Now become aware of the currents of thought flowing through your mind. Don't try to stop them. Don't try to swim against them. Just notice them, like watching water flow by. They are not you. They are just the movement of the river. With each breath, I want you to give yourself permission to sink a little deeper. With your next inhale, acknowledge your fears, and on the exhale, release your grip on them. Let yourself sink past the surface anxieties. With your next inhale, acknowledge your to-do lists, and on the exhale, let them drift away downstream. Let yourself sink past the noise of responsibility. Keep sinking breath by breath into the quiet, dark, peaceful depths, down into the silence, down into the stillness. This is not a frightening place. This is the heart of the river. This is the place of deep rest. This is where true healing happens. You are not drowning. You are being held. You are not losing control. You are surrendering to a greater wisdom that knows exactly how to heal you, how to restore you, how to bring you home. Trust begins where control ends. But what happens when we trust the flow so much that we are willing to wait? What does it feel like to be perfectly poised at the edge of action, without anxiety, without impatience? When we wait long enough, even time bows. The raindrop that waited to fall will reveal this patience. It is the deep wisdom that comes after the surrender, the quiet power of knowing that everything happens in its perfect time. Trust begins where control ends. As you lie here tonight, let go of the need to swim. You are the fish, safe in the water. The river of life, the river of the night, is not your enemy. It is your home. Stop fighting it. Let it hold you. Let it rock you gently in its ancient currents. Let it carry you into the vast ocean of deep, restorative sleep. Imagine yourself floating gently down a quiet river. The stars are reflected on the water's surface. You are safe. You are at peace. Everything is okay. Let this story become your dream, a dream of release, a dream of being held. The bell does not ring itself, yet it never forgets the sound. The bell that forgot to echo. What remains of a sound once its echo chooses silence? We live our lives in echoes. We are shaped by the reverberations of our past, the words that were said, the actions that were taken, the feelings that were felt. Our identities are often a collection of these echoes, a story we tell ourselves based on the resonance of what has been. We cling to the echo of praise, and we flee from the echo of pain. We try to recreate the echoes of joy, and we are haunted by the echoes of regret. But what happens when an event is so complete, so total, that it leaves no echo behind? What happens when a moment is lived so fully that it simply is, and then is not, without a lingering trace? This is the heart of the Buddhist teaching on impermanence, or anicca. It is a call to trust the dance of change so completely that we stop clinging to the echoes of what has passed. This clinging to echoes is a profound source of our suffering. At night, in the quiet, the echoes can become deafening. The mind, like a vast canyon, reverberates with the ghosts of yesterday. The echo of an unkind word, the echo of a missed opportunity, the echo of a moment of shame. These are the sounds that keep us from the deep silence of restful sleep. We are trying to sleep in a hall of mirrors and echoes, and we wonder why we cannot find peace. The path to a calm mind is not to fight the echoes, but to understand their nature. It is to learn from the bell that forgot to echo, and to discover the freedom that comes from letting each moment be born, and then letting it die completely. Let this timeless wisdom be a gentle balm for your heart. There is nothing you need to hold onto from your day. Let it go. Let the echoes fade. Let there be only this moment, this breath, this stillness. In a mountain monastery, so old that the forest had begun to reclaim its stone walls, there hung a great bronze bell. For centuries, this bell had marked the rhythm of the monastery's life. Its deep, sonorous tone would roll down the mountainside at dawn, calling the monks to meditation. Its sound was so pure and powerful that it was said you could feel it in your bones. And after the initial strike, the echo would linger for a full minute, a shimmering, fading whisper that seemed to carry the bell's wisdom out into the world. The echo was as famous as the bell itself. A new young abbot arrived at the monastery. He was a master of a different kind, one who taught with silence more than with words. He noticed that the monks had become attached to the bell's echo. They would strike the bell and then stand in tense anticipation, listening for the echo, judging its quality, comparing it to the echoes of the past. They were more focused on the memory of the sound than on the sound itself. The echo, which was meant to be a gentle fading, had become a source of clinging and subtle anxiety. One morning, the abbot himself went to ring the bell for dawn meditation. The monks gathered, waiting. The abbot took the heavy wooden striker, drew it back, and struck the bell with perfect, mindful force. A sound of impossible beauty and clarity erupted. It was the most perfect, pure, and profound note anyone had ever heard from the ancient bell. It was the sound of the universe being born. It filled the air, the valley, the hearts of every monk. It was a moment of absolute, perfect presence. And then it was gone. There was no echo, not a whisper, not a trace. The perfect sound was followed by a perfect, profound silence. The silence was not empty. It was full, vibrant, and alive. It was as powerful as the sound had been. The monks stood in stunned amazement. The bell had rung, but it had forgotten to echo. It had given itself so completely to the moment of its sounding that nothing was left over. There was no residue, no remainder, no ghost. A young monk, confused, approached the abbot. "Master," he asked, "what happened to the echo? The bell has lost its voice." The abbot smiled, his eyes filled with a gentle compassion. "No," he said softly, "the bell has finally found its true voice. It has learned the wisdom of impermanence. It no longer lives in the past. It gives everything to the present moment, and then it lets go completely. The sound was for the sounding. The silence is for the silence. Both are perfect. Both are holy." The bell that forgot to echo became the monastery's greatest teacher. It taught the monks to live each moment with the same totality, to be fully present for the joy without trying to make it last forever, to be fully present for the sorrow without fearing its echo, to do a task with all their being and then to let it go, to listen to a word with their whole heart and then to let it pass. They learned that real peace is not found in the lingering resonance of the past, but in the vibrant, alive silence of the present. This is the essence of impermanence. All things arise, and all things pass away. Your thoughts, your feelings, your body, your relationships, life itself. It is all a constant flow of change. Change is not the enemy of life. It is the very rhythm of life, the dance of awakening. We suffer when we try to stand still in a flowing river. We try to hold onto the form of the wave, forgetting that the wave's nature is to rise, crest, and dissolve back into the ocean. Your insomnia is often a form of this resistance to impermanence. You are lying in bed, but your mind is clinging to the echoes of the day. You are reliving a mistake, holding onto the ghost of an angry word, trying to preserve the fading warmth of a pleasant moment. This is a form of what psychologists call rumination. Rumination is the enemy of emotional release. It is the act of chewing on the past, keeping the emotional wound fresh, preventing it from healing and fading naturally. This mental habit keeps your nervous system in a state of chronic activation. You are sending signals to your brain that the event is still happening, so it cannot shift into the deep rest and repair mode needed for sleep. Healing from within requires us to learn the wisdom of the bell. It requires us to cultivate the ability to be fully present with our experiences as they happen, and then to let them go completely, without leaving an echo of judgment or regret. It is a profound act of trust in the dance of change. Let's practice letting go of the echoes right now. Imagine your mind is the great bronze bell. Each thought, each feeling, each memory from your day is a strike upon this bell. Bring to mind a moment from your day that was pleasant. A kind word, a moment of beauty, a small success. See it clearly. As you inhale, feel the beautiful, clear sound of that moment ringing through you. Experience its joy, its warmth, its goodness. Give yourself fully to it. Now, as you exhale, let it go. Completely, let the sound end. Let there be no echo. Let it dissolve into a perfect, peaceful silence. Thank the moment for its gift and let it pass. It does not need to be held onto to have been real. Now, bring to mind a moment from your day that was difficult or unpleasant. A moment of frustration, of sadness, of irritation. As you inhale, allow the sound of this moment to ring. Do not resist it. Do not judge it. Just hear it for what it is, a discordant note, a moment of friction. Be fully present with the feeling, just for a moment, with compassion. And now, as you exhale, let it go. Completely. Let the sound die away without a trace. Do not allow it to echo into the night. It was a moment in time. It has passed. Its power over you is only in its echo. In this moment, choose silence. Continue this practice with any other echoes that are calling for your attention. The echo of worry, the echo of self-criticism, the echo of fear. Let each one sound on an inhale and let it dissolve into complete silence on an exhale. You are not suppressing them. You are honoring their existence and then honoring their passing. This is the art of Buddhist mindfulness. You are learning to trust the silence that follows the sound. That silence is your true nature. It is the deep, peaceful awareness that is always present beneath the ringing of life's bells. But how do we find the strength to let go when a future moment seems so important, when our whole being is poised, waiting for something to happen? What if the waiting itself becomes a form of suffering? Let's hold still long enough to watch time bloom. In the flame that bowed to the ocean, we will see how fire learns to kneel. But first, we must learn the wisdom of the pause, the sacredness of the space between things. It is in this space that true power is found. The story of the bell teaches us to let go of the past. The next story will teach us how to relate to the future. To forget is also to be free to remember anew. As you drift into deep sleep, let your mind become the silent monastery after the bell has rung. Let the echoes of the day fade into the vast, peaceful stillness of the present moment. There is nothing to hold onto, nothing to replay. The day is complete. It has given itself fully, and now it is gone. In its place is this sacred silence, this holy peace. Rest here. This is the space where your body and soul can finally heal. This is the stillness that cradles you and carries you into your dreams. Let go. Breathe. Everything is okay. The world slows down for you now. Raindrops do not fall, they are released. The raindrop that waited to fall. Have you ever felt suspended between becoming and release? It's a state of exquisite tension, a feeling of being on the cusp of something significant, waiting for a phone call, waiting for test results, waiting for a new chapter to begin, or perhaps just waiting for sleep to finally come. This state of waiting is often filled with anxiety, with a restless impatience that makes the present moment unbearable. We want to rush time, to force the outcome, to get to the other side of the uncertainty. We see waiting as a void, an empty hallway we must hurry through. But But what if waiting is not a void? What if it is a sacred and powerful state of being in itself? The Zen tradition teaches a profound respect for timing, for the natural rhythm of unfolding. It suggests that true wisdom lies not in rushing the future, but in inhabiting the space of not yet with full presence and trust. This is the essence of patience, not the grim, teeth-gritting endurance we often associate with the word, but a deep, calm, and intelligent alignment with the flow of life. Your struggle with insomnia can be seen as a struggle with this kind of patience. You are waiting for sleep, but you are not waiting with trust. You are waiting with demand. You are the anxious traveler at the station, constantly checking your watch, tapping your foot, demanding that the train arrive now. This very impatience is what signals to your nervous system that something is wrong, that you are unsafe, and it keeps the train of sleep from ever pulling into the station. This story is an invitation to reframe your relationship with waiting, to see the pause not as a problem, but as a source of power, to learn the wisdom of divine timing from the smallest of teachers. Close your eyes and breathe. Let go of the need to arrive. Just be here in this sacred pause. On the tip of a broad green leaf in a lush, quiet jungle, a single raindrop trembled. It had been born in a great cloud, traveled across the sky, and now its journey was almost complete. Below it lay the rich, dark earth, thirsty and waiting. All the other raindrops from its cloud had already fallen, merging with the soil, with the roots of the great trees. But this one raindrop waited. From our human perspective, it was waiting for only a fraction of a second. But in the world of the raindrop, it was an eternity. In that suspended moment, it held the entire world within its tiny, spherical body. It reflected the deep green of the leaf beneath it, the boundless blue of the sky above it, and the distant, golden light of the sun. It was a perfect, crystalline jewel, poised between the heavens and the earth. A small, impatient beetle, scurrying along the leaf, bumped into the raindrop. "What are you doing?" the beetle chirped. "Fall already. The earth is waiting. Don't you want to finish your journey?" The raindrop simply trembled, its reflected world shimmering. "My journey is not about finishing," it whispered, its voice the sound of pure stillness. "It is about being ready. The falling is not the purpose. The falling is the consequence of perfect readiness." The beetle, who only understood the world in terms of getting from one place to another, scurried away in a huff. The raindrop continued to wait. It wasn't a tense, anxious waiting. It was a full and vibrant waiting. It was gathering itself. It was feeling the subtle pull of the earth's gravity, aligning its own inner weight with that pull. It was listening to the silent song of the thirsty roots below. It was feeling the last kiss of the sun's warmth on its surface. It was becoming one with the conditions for its own release. It was not delaying, it was ripening. And then, in a moment that was not chosen, but simply arrived, the conditions were perfect. The pull of the earth, the weight of its own being, and the silent invitation of the soil, all aligned in a single, harmonious chord. Without any effort, without any decision, the raindrop simply let go. It was not a fall, it was a release. It merged with the earth not as a separate drop, but as a willing participant in the great cycle of life, carrying with it the memory of the sky, the sun, and the sacred wisdom of its patient weight. The raindrop teaches us that patience is not passive delay. It is active harmony. It is the wisdom of aligning ourselves with the rhythm of becoming. We suffer when we try to pluck the fruit before it is ripe. We get a bitter taste and an upset stomach. We suffer when we try to force the flower to bloom. We only tear its delicate petals. Life has its own intelligent timing. Wu-wei, the effortless action we spoke of with the leaf, is impossible without this deep, trusting patience. It is the ability to feel when the conditions are right, when the moment has ripened, and to act in that perfect, graceful instant. This spiritual wisdom is deeply connected to our psychological and physiological well-being. Our modern world is a culture of impatience. Instant downloads, next-day delivery, immediate gratification. We have trained our brains to expect instant results, and we have lost the capacity for patient, deep processes. This has a profound effect on our nervous systems. Impatience is a form of stress. It is the fight response in miniature. A constant, low-grade agitation that keeps cortisol and adrenaline trickling into our system. It is fundamentally incompatible with the state of relaxation required for creativity, deep connection, and most importantly, for sleep. When you lie in bed feeling impatient with your own wakefulness, you are the beetle scolding the raindrop. You are creating a state of internal conflict. One part of you desperately wants to surrender to sleep, while another part is pushing, prodding, and demanding. This inner battle is the very definition of stress. Your body cannot and will not shut down into a state of vulnerable rest when it perceives an ongoing battle. The practice of healing patience is a radical act of self-compassion. It is telling yourself, it's okay. There is no rush. I can wait. I trust the process. It is shifting from the demanding energy of the beetle to the receptive, aligning energy of the raindrop. It is how we create the internal conditions for sleep to arise naturally. as a consequence of perfect readiness. Let's practice inhabiting this patient, sacred pause together. Bring your awareness back to your body, resting here. Feel the points of contact between your body and the surface beneath you. Feel the gentle, constant pull of gravity. It is not an aggressive force. It is a steady, reliable invitation to let go. Now, think of something in your life you are waiting for. Not necessarily sleep. It could be anything: a change, a resolution, a healing. Feel the familiar flicker of impatience or anxiety that comes with that thought. Acknowledge it without judgment. That is the beetle energy. Now shift your focus. Imagine you are the raindrop, perfectly poised on the edge of that situation. Instead of focusing on the falling, on the outcome, bring your full attention to the state of waiting. What does this waiting feel like in your body? Can you soften around the edges of it? Can you breathe into the tension? Instead of asking when, ask what is here now. In this moment of not knowing what is present, perhaps there is the feeling of your breath. Perhaps there is the silence in the room. Perhaps there is the warmth under your blankets. Let your attention rest on these simple, present moment realities. You are gathering yourself. You are ripening. You are allowing all the subtle conditions to align. You are not pushing the river. You are not rushing the dawn. You are trusting the wisdom of divine timing. You are embodying the deep truth that even waiting is a form of movement when it is aligned with trust. Release the need for an outcome, release the timeline, and simply rest in this full, vibrant, and patient presence. This state of radical acceptance is profoundly soothing to the nervous system. It is the signal of ultimate safety. It says, everything is okay, exactly as it is. Nothing needs to happen right now. And in that space of profound okayness, the body finally receives the permission it needs to let go. But what happens when this letting go becomes so profound that the very fabric of ourself begins to unravel? What if the raindrop, in waiting, realizes it is not separate from the leaf, the sky, or the earth? This is where the journey takes a deeper turn into the heart of identity itself. The unraveling is sacred too. The thread that unwove the tapestry will carry us deeper into the art of dissolving. It is the path of non-self, where we discover that our true identity is not in the form we hold, but in the connections we embody. Even waiting is a form of movement when aligned with trust. As you prepare for deep sleep, let go of any impatience with yourself with your body, with your mind. You cannot fail at sleeping. You can only create the conditions for it, or create the conditions against it. Tonight, choose to create the conditions of trust and patience. Be the raindrop, poised, present, and peaceful. Trust that the moment of release will come when it is ready. It does not need your anxious help. It only needs your quiet trust. Let this gentle, patient energy be the cradle that rocks you to sleep. You are safe in the waiting. You are whole in the pause. And when the tapestry unravels, its threads remember their dance. The thread that unwove the tapestry. Who were you before your name was whispered? Before the stories were told about you, before the roles were assigned, before the identity was woven, thread by painful, beautiful thread. We spend our lives creating a tapestry of self. We gather threads of experience, of memory, of belief, of relationship, and we weave them into a pattern we call me. This is my personality. This is my history. This is who I am. And we hold this tapestry up, defending its patterns, polishing its colors, and fearing any loose threads, because we believe that if the tapestry unravels, we will cease to exist. But what if you are not the tapestry? What if you are the thread? Or, even more profoundly, what if you are the space between the threads, the silent awareness that witnesses the weaving? The Buddhist teaching of anatta, or non-self, is a radical invitation to question our most fundamental assumption, that we are a fixed, separate, and solid entity. It suggests that the self is not a noun, but a verb. It is not a thing, but a process, a constantly changing, flowing, and interconnected pattern. This clinging to the tapestry of self is a source of immense suffering. We fight to protect a fixed image of who we are, even when that image is causing us pain. At night, this struggle can become a fierce battle. The mind obsessively reweaves the same old patterns, the story of our failures, the narrative of our victimhood, the epic of our unworthiness. We are trapped in the design we have created, and the thought of it unraveling is terrifying. It feels like annihilation. And so we lie awake, reinforcing the knots, tightening the weave, exhausted by the effort of holding ourselves together. This story is a gentle invitation to let a single thread come loose, to experience the liberation that comes not from holding on tighter, but from allowing a sacred unraveling. Close your eyes. You don't need to hold yourself together right now. Let the story do the holding. Let us explore the beauty of dissolution. In a great hall of a forgotten kingdom, there hung a magnificent tapestry. It was so vast It covered an entire wall, and so intricately woven that it was said to contain every story in the world. It depicted mountains and oceans, kings and beggars, birth and death, joy and sorrow. People would travel from all corners of the land just to gaze upon it, to find their own small story reflected somewhere in its grand design. The tapestry was the kingdom's pride, its identity. It was considered a perfect, finished work. One day, a child, a little girl with eyes that saw things differently, was sitting before the tapestry. She wasn't looking at the grand pictures of battles or coronations. Her eyes were fixed on a single, tiny, golden thread at the very bottom corner. While everyone else saw the pattern, she saw the thread. She noticed that this thread was not like the others. It seemed to shimmer with a light of its own. Driven by an innocent curiosity, she reached out and gave the golden thread the gentlest of pulls. To her surprise, it came loose. It did not break. It began to slide out of the weave. As she pulled, slowly and carefully, something astonishing began to happen. The image of a fierce dragon, woven in angry reds and blacks, began to soften. As the golden thread was removed from it, the dragon's snarl turned into a look of sorrow. The thread was not just part of the pattern. It was holding the tension of the dragon's anger. The girl continued to pull. The golden thread slid out from behind a king's jeweled crown. As it did, the king's proud face relaxed into the gentle face of a simple man. The thread had been holding the weight of his royalty. She pulled further, and the thread unwove a scene of a great, stormy sea. As it left the weave, the chaotic waves became a calm, peaceful ocean, shimmering under a gentle moon. The thread had been holding the memory of the storm. She pulled and pulled, and the entire tapestry began to transform. The rigid lines between people and places dissolved. The solid forms of mountains and castles softened. The whole grand narrative of separation, of conflict, of fixed identities began to unravel. The tapestry was not being destroyed. It was being released. Finally, the end of the golden thread came free. The little girl held it in her hand, a single, shimmering strand of pure light. And she looked up at the wall. The tapestry was gone, but it was not an empty space. In its place was a vast, shimmering field of interconnected colors and light. There were no separate images anymore. The king and the beggar were woven from the same light. The dragon and the ocean were part of the same flow. It was no longer a collection of stories. It was a single, unified, and breathtakingly beautiful dance of being. The thread had not destroyed the tapestry. It had revealed its true nature by unwaving the illusion of its separateness. The self we cling to is this tapestry. It is a construct of stories, memories, and beliefs held together by the tension of our own clinging. The teaching of non-self, or anatta, is the golden thread. When we begin to gently pull on it through mindfulness and self-inquiry, we are not destroying ourselves. We are releasing ourselves from the rigid patterns and false separations that cause us so much pain. We begin to see that our anger was just a story. Our fear was just a memory. Our identity was just a role we were playing. This is not just a philosophical concept. It is a profound path to emotional healing. Much of our psychological suffering comes from what is called identity fusion. We become so fused with our thoughts and roles that we cannot see any space between ourselves and our suffering. We believe we are the tapestry, the practice of diffusion, a cornerstone of therapies like acceptance and commitment therapy, is the art of creating space. It is learning to see your thoughts as thoughts, not as you. It is seeing your roles as roles, not as you. It is the beginning of the great unraveling. This process is essential for deep sleep. The mind that is fused with its identity is a mind that is on guard, constantly defending its territory. If you believe, I am an insomniac, you will lie in bed looking for evidence to support that story. Every moment of wakefulness reinforces the pattern. Your mind is busy reweaving the tapestry of the person who can't sleep. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. The path to restful sleep is to gently pull the thread. It is to introduce the possibility that you are not the story. You are the awareness that is watching the story. You are not the anxiety. You are the space that holds the anxiety. This shift from I am to I am aware of is the most powerful shift you can make. It loosens the knots. It releases the tension. It allows the tapestry to soften. Let's try this gentle unraveling now. Bring your awareness to the feeling of me. Where do you feel it in your body? Is it a pressure behind the eyes, a tightness in the chest, a knot in the stomach? Just notice the physical sensation of I. This is the tapestry. Now let's find the golden thread. The golden thread is your pure, silent awareness. It is the part of you that is simply watching, without judgment. Let a thought arise in your mind. Perhaps the thought is, I am so tired. Instead of fusing with it, see if you can observe it. Say to yourself silently, I am aware of the thought that I am tired. Can you feel the subtle space that opens up? You are not the thought. You are the witness of the thought. The thought is just a cloud passing through the vast sky of your awareness. Now let let a feeling arise. Perhaps it is a feeling of frustration or worry. Instead of saying, "I am worried," try saying, "I am aware of a feeling of worry in my body." Can you feel the shift? The worry is an event happening within you, not the entirety of you. You are the space that is holding the worry. You are vast enough and strong enough to hold it without being consumed by it. You are the thread and the tapestry. Continue this gentle practice. Whatever arises in your mind or body, a memory, a sensation, a story, meet it with the golden thread of your awareness. I am aware of. I notice. I am the space that holds. This is the sacred art of dissolving your identity into presence. You are not destroying yourself. You are discovering your true self, the vast, silent, and peaceful awareness that has been here all along, hidden behind the tapestry. But after all this unwinding, after all this dissolving, what remains if the tapestry is gone, and even the thread is seen as part of a greater whole? Where do we find ourselves? This is the ultimate question, leading us to the final gate of our journey. After all unwinding, what remains? The mirror that reflected no one offers a glimpse. It is a return to the purest form of being, a state of mind that is simply present, without a story to tell. In forgetting who we are, we remember how to be. As you drift now towards sleep, let the tapestry of you soften and unravel. Let go of the need to be a person with a history and a future. For these next few moments, just be presence, be awareness, be the silent, spacious field in which all things arise and pass away. You are not the story of the person who struggles to sleep. You are the deep, quiet peace that exists beneath all stories. Let the threads go, let them dance, let them dissolve into the beautiful, unified field of light that is your true nature. There is nothing to hold together. You are already whole. Rest in that wholeness. Rest in that peace. The ocean greets the flame not with fear, but welcome. The flame that bowed to the ocean. What strength lies in surrender? Our world teaches us that strength is resistance. Strength is standing firm against the tide, holding your ground, never backing down. We see yielding as weakness, surrender as defeat. The flame is our hero, bright, passionate, consuming, always reaching upward, defying gravity, asserting its presence. The ocean is the terrifying unknown, vast, deep, and powerful, a force that extinguishes. We live our lives trying to be the flame, fearing the ocean. But what if true strength, the most profound and enduring power, lies not in resistance, but in the courage to yield? What if the greatest act of power is the willingness to bow? The Zen and Buddhist teachings on compassion and yielding are not about becoming a doormat. They are about discovering a soft power, a strength so deep and flexible that it cannot be broken. It is the strength of water, which can wear away rock. It is the strength of the bamboo, which bends in the wind and does not snap. This internal battle between the flame of our ego and the ocean of life is a primary cause of our suffering and sleeplessness. At night, the flame of our mind burns bright with worries, ambitions, and fears. It fights against the encroaching darkness and silence, which it perceives as the ocean of nothingness. We try to keep our little flame of control alive, burning with thoughts like, I must solve this problem. I must not feel this sadness. I must make myself sleep. This struggle is exhausting. It is the energy of a candle trying to hold back the tide. But what if the goal is not to keep the flame burning, but to learn how to bow? Let this story be a gentle invitation to explore this different kind of strength. The strength that comes from a graceful and willing surrender. Close your eyes. Let the frantic little flame of your mind grow soft. Let us learn the wisdom of the bow. On a remote and rocky shore, where the land met the sea in a dramatic clash of stone and water, there lived a hermit. This hermit was not seeking enlightenment through stillness, but through fire. Every evening at dusk, he would carry a single candle down to the edge of the sea. He would place it on a flat rock, just beyond the reach of the gentle evening tide. He would light the candle, and his meditation was to keep the flame alive against the vast, dark presence of the ocean. For years, he practiced this. He built little walls of pebbles to shield the flame from the sea breeze. He cupped his hands around it when the spray flew high. He saw it as a battle of light against darkness, of life against the void, of his own small, defiant will against the overwhelming power of nature. His body was always tense, his mind always vigilant. He was proud of his flame. He saw it as a symbol of his own spiritual strength and endurance. One evening, a great storm was gathering far out at sea. The sky was turning a deep indigo, and the waves were growing larger, their sound a low and ominous rumble. The hermit knew he could not protect his flame tonight. The ocean would surely rise and claim it. A feeling of despair and failure washed over him. His years of effort felt meaningless in the face of this immense power. Still, out of habit and a sense of duty, he carried his candle down to the shore. He lit the flame, and it flickered bravely in the growing wind. He sat down, not to guard it, but simply to watch its final moments. He let go of his struggle. He gave up the fight. The tide began to roll in, each wave coming closer and closer to the rock. The hermit's heart was filled with a strange mixture of sadness and peace. He was no longer fighting the ocean. He was just witnessing. A huge wave, larger than all the others, began to swell. This was it, the end. The wave curled and rose, a great wall of dark water. But just as it was about to crash down upon the rock, something extraordinary happened. The little flame, no longer shielded by the hermit's resistance, did something it had never done before. It bowed, pulled by the immense displacement of air in front of the wave. The flame bent forward, laying itself almost flat against the warm wax of the candle. It yielded completely. The great wave crashed over the rock, drenching it in a torrent of salt water and foam. The hermit closed his eyes, his heart aching. When he opened them, he expected to see only darkness, but there, in the center of the wet, glistening rock, was his candle, and its flame was still burning. It had not been extinguished. Because it had bowed, the crushing force of the water had passed right over it. It had surrendered its upright defiance, and in doing so, had found a way to survive. The flame flickered, straightened itself up, and burned calmly in the wild, stormy night. Its light reflected in 1,000 tiny pools on the rock. The hermit fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. He was not crying from sadness, but from a revelation. He had spent years believing that strength was in resistance. He now understood that the greatest strength, the most invincible power, lies in the wisdom of yielding. The flame had not been defeated by the ocean. It had joined in its dance. This is the heart of compassion as a strength. Compassion is not pity or weakness. Karuna, in the Buddhist sense, is the willingness to meet suffering, your own and others, with an open, non-resistant heart. It is the flame bowing when you are met with a wave of your own sadness. The ego flame wants to stand up straight and resist it. I should not be sad, it says. And so the sadness crashes against you and feels overwhelming. But the compassionate heart bows. It says, "Ah, sadness is here. Let me feel it. Let me allow it." And by yielding to the feeling, by allowing it to be, the crushing force of it passes over you, and you are left intact, perhaps even stronger and wiser. This soft power is essential for navigating the complexities of life and for finding inner peace. It is also deeply healing for the nervous system. Resistance creates tension. Whether you are resisting a difficult emotion, a painful memory, or your own wakefulness, the physiological result is the same. Your body tightens, your breathing becomes shallow, your mind goes on high alert. This is the state of the hermit in his years of struggle. It is a state of chronic stress. Yielding, on the other hand, is a signal of safety to the body. When you emotionally bow to what is, you are telling your nervous system that there is no need to fight. This is what allows the shift into the parasympathetic rest and digest state. The heart rate slows, the muscles relax, and the mind becomes calm. This is the state of the hermit after his revelation. It is the state that allows for deep sleep and emotional healing. Let's practice the wisdom of the bowing flame right now. Bring to mind a wave that is present in your life right now. It could be a wave of anxiety about the future, a wave of grief for a loss, a wave of physical pain, or simply the wave of frustration at not being asleep. See your normal reaction to this wave. Do you brace against it? Do you try to build a wall of pebbles against it? Do you get angry at it? This is your flame standing up straight, trying to resist. Just acknowledge this habit with kindness. Now let's try a different way. Imagine yourself as the small, steady flame, and see the wave of your chosen difficulty approaching. It feels big, powerful, overwhelming. Instead of bracing, I want you to take a gentle breath in, and as you breathe out, imagine your flame bowing. Bow low. Let yourself yield completely to the presence of this wave, this feeling, this sensation. You are not giving into it in a sense of defeat. You are respectfully acknowledging its power and choosing not to fight it. Say to yourself, I yield, I allow. I will not resist you. Imagine the great wave of feeling washing over you. Because you have bowed, it does not extinguish you. It passes over, and you remain. You are the steady, warm presence that can endure the storm by virtue of your softness. When the wave has passed, imagine your flame gently straightening up again. It is still there, perhaps a little softer, a little wiser. You have met the ocean and survived, not through force, but through grace. To bend is not to break, but to join. Practice this with any other waves that arise. The wave of a racing thought, the wave of an ache in your body. Breathe in, and on the exhale, bow. Yield. Let go of the fight. Discover the immense, unshakable peace that lies in the heart of surrender. And when all resistance is gone, when the flame has learned to bow and the tapestry has unraveled, what is left to be seen? What is the final ground of being? When all light fades, what remains? The mirror that reflected no one shows us how emptiness holds all. This is the final step of our journey tonight, a look into the nature of pure awareness itself, the ultimate source of peace. To bend is not to break, but to join. As you drift into the deep ocean of sleep, let go of all your resistances. Let go of the fight against your thoughts, against your feelings, against your wakefulness. You don't need to be a defiant flame. You can be the flame that bows. Let every wave of sensation or thought be an opportunity to practice this gentle, powerful yielding. Bow to the silence. Bow to the darkness. Bow to the mystery of sleep. In this surrender, you will not find defeat. You will find the indestructible strength of the water, the resilience of the bamboo, and the quiet, enduring light of the flame that knows when to bow. And the mirror does not reflect us, it becomes us. The mirror that reflected no one. What remains when even the watcher is gone? We have journeyed far tonight. We have danced with the selfless leaf, closed the gate of the past, and remembered our connection to the mountain. We have listened to the song of the empty bowl, surrendered with the dreaming fish, and let go of echoes with the silent bell. We have ripened with the patient raindrop, unwoven the tapestry of self, and bowed with the humble flame. Each step has been a letting go, a release of effort, of attachment, of separation, of fullness, of control, of permanence, of impatience, of identity, of resistance. And now we arrive at the final gate, the last letting go. We have practiced watching our thoughts, our feelings, our stories. We have cultivated the watcher, the silent witness, the awareness that observes the circus of the mind. But what if this watcher is also part of the story? What if the final step to ultimate peace, to the deep sleep of the soul, is to let go of the one who is letting go? What if the goal is not to be the perfect, detached observer, but to dissolve the very distinction between the observer and the observed? This is the teaching of no mind or mushin. It is the mind before thought, the sky before clouds. It is the return to a state of pure, unified awareness where the subject-object split collapses. It is not a state of unconsciousness. It is a state of superconsciousness, so simple and so total that it cannot be grasped by the thinking mind. It is the peace that passeth all understanding. It is the ultimate ground of being, and it is your truest nature. Do not try to understand this with your intellect. The mind cannot grasp what is beyond it. Simply allow this final story to wash over you, to be a final lullaby for the tired watcher within you. Let this be the final, gentle instruction. Let this story become your dream. the deepest, most secluded part of a Zen monastery, in a chamber where no one ever went, there was a mirror. It was not a mirror of polished silver or glass. It was a perfect circle of obsidian, black as a moonless night, so still and so pure that it seemed to absorb all the light and sound in the room. It had been placed there by the monastery's founding master centuries ago, and the only instruction he left was this: when you have understood everything and you have understood nothing, come and look in this mirror. Generations of masters had come and gone. Many had achieved profound states of enlightenment, but none had felt ready to face the final mirror. They understood its significance. To look in this mirror was the ultimate test, the final dissolution. Finally, there came a master named Ryoko. She was an old woman, as weathered and as beautiful as an ancient pine tree. She had walked the path of Zen her entire life. She had mastered every koan. She had seen through every illusion. She had sat in silence for years, until her own mind became as vast and as quiet as the sky. She had let go of everything, and one day she knew it was time. With slow, steady steps, she entered the dark, silent chamber. The air was cool and still. She stood before the great black mirror. Her heart was calm. There was no fear, no anticipation. There was only a quiet, open curiosity. She had spent a lifetime watching herself, observing her thoughts, her ego, her attachments, as if they were reflections in a mirror. Now, she was ready to look into the mirror that would show her the truth of the Watcher itself. She looked. The mirror did not reflect her face. It did not reflect her robes or her aged body. It did not reflect the dim light of the candle she carried. It did not reflect the chamber behind her. The mirror reflected nothing. There was no one there. In that moment, the final illusion dissolved. The Ryoko who was looking, the watcher, the observer, the witness she had so carefully cultivated, was seen to be just another reflection, a ghost created by the habit of thought. In the face of this perfect, non-reflecting mirror, the watcher disappeared. The subject and the object collapsed into one. There was no longer Ryoko looking at a mirror. There was only mirroring. There was only seeing. There was only a vast, silent, and boundless awareness. It was not empty. It was full of everything, because it was not separate from anything. It was the sky that holds the clouds, the ocean that holds the waves, the silence that holds the sound. She had looked into the mirror and become the mirror. She had sought the final answer and become the answer itself. She stood there for an hour or a lifetime. It did not matter. Time itself had dissolved with the watcher. when she finally turned to leave the chamber, she was no longer Ryoko, the Zen master. She was simply presence, walking, breathing, seeing, being. The search was over. She was finally, completely, and utterly home. This is no mind. It is the mind that has returned to its original state, pure awareness. It is the mirror that reflects everything and retains nothing. When a bird flies past, it reflects the bird perfectly. When the bird is gone, it does not hold a memory of the bird. It is simply a clear mirror again, ready for the next moment. Your true nature is this mirror. Your thoughts, feelings, and sensations are like the birds flying past. The suffering comes when the mirror tries to grab the bird, to hold onto it, to identify with it. I am that bird, it says, and so it suffers when the bird flies away. The practice of meditation, of all the Zen stories we have explored tonight, has been a process of gently cleaning this mirror, removing the dust of attachment, the smudges of identity, the cracks of resistance. But the final step is to realize you are not the one cleaning the mirror. You are the mirror. You are the awareness itself. This is the deepest secret to profound rest and healing. Sleep is a natural process of the mind returning to this mirror-like state. It is a nightly dissolution of the ego, the watcher. Your insomnia, your anxiety at night, is the last stand of the watcher. It is afraid to disappear. It is afraid of the perfect, non-reflecting mirror of deep sleep. It chatters, it worries, it plans, all in an attempt to keep itself in existence. I am here. I am thinking, therefore I am. It screams into the silence. The most profound way to invite sleep, the ultimate form of letting go guided meditation, is to gently withdraw your attention from the watcher itself. It is to give up the project of being a self for the night. Let's do this now, in these final moments before you drift away. You have become very still. Your body is heavy and relaxed. Your breath is slow and deep. You are aware of this state of peace. Now gently ask, who is it that is aware? Don't look for an answer in words. Just let the question hang in the air. Who is aware of the breath? Who is aware of the stillness? You may find that there is no one there. There is just awareness, just breathing, just stillness. Let go of the need to be the one who is meditating. Let go of the need to be the one who is falling asleep. Let meditation happen. Let let sleep happen. You are the mirror. The last thoughts of the day may drift across your awareness. Let them. You do not need to do anything about them. They are just birds flying past. They leave no trace on the perfect clarity of your being. When you stop looking, you become what you sought. You have been searching for peace, for rest, for sleep. Now stop searching and just be the peace, be the rest. You are not in the room. The room is in you. You are not in the silence. The silence is in you. You are the vast, silent, peaceful awareness in which the entire universe is dreaming. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to understand, nothing left to fix. The journey is complete. The search is over. Rest now. Dissolve into the deep, dark, healing mirror of the night. Let it hold you. Let it renew you. Let it return you to the perfect, simple truth of your own being. The sky was always there. We just needed to stop naming the clouds. And as we end this journey, remember, this isn't just a meditation, it's a return. A quiet re-entry into Zen Buddhism healing, a space of rest, beyond thought. In this sacred quiet, you'll discover how timeless Zen parables can ease anxiety, untangle emotional heaviness, and restore your natural rhythm of peace.